Hey everyone, it's Cheryl from Teaching 2 and 3-year-olds. We are in our last week before we take our winter break. So I thought I would talk a little bit about what we're doing on this last week before vacation. We didn't change a lot out, so if you saw our video last week, you'll see a lot of similarities. We're trying not to change everything each week anymore because we realize that the children want to, I should say, revisit activities, and only seeing them for a couple of days or 3 days, depending on how long they're here each week, we found wasn't enough. So it's still Christmas theme, and we have a lot of things set up. We are wrapping up a lot of our special activities, and while I have you here, look at these great cardboard trees. I'll do a separate video explaining how we made these, but I love how they turned out. This is an example of how our children have loved doing group art activities. So I also wanted to take a moment to answer a reader's email. She had been watching my videos, my classroom setup videos, and she had a really good question that I thought I would address. She asked, when do we do all the activities that I share in my classroom setup? And that's a really good question. Now, I do have a separate video that talks all about how I set up my centers time. I'll drop a link to that in the description because that goes into more detail about what I'm about to tell you. But these activities that you see during my classroom setup, these happen during our free choice centers time. And this is the first hour, sometimes even a little bit more than an hour each morning. And as the children arrive, they come in and they can decide where they want to be. If they want to be, whatever center they want to be at, we don't control that. We don't monitor where they've been or where they're going. We don't make them be in a certain center for a specific amount of time. I have a blog post explaining that. I'll drop a link in the description to that as well. But that is when all of these activities take place. All of our different centers. I always show you dramatic play and light table, easel, art, Play-Doh, etc. That is all offered during centers time. That is our main classroom time, because after that, then we have our snack and we have circle time. We go to the gym, we go outside, we come back, we have music and movement, and then we say our goodbye song. So again, when you see my classroom setups, those activities are usually done during the first hour of the morning during our centers time. So I wanted to clarify that and answer her question because some of you might be wondering that as well. And by the way, if you ever have any questions about my classroom setups, feel free to write a comment in here and I will check it. I love to answer comments. So if you have any questions ever on any of my videos, just ask in the comment section and I'll be happy to answer them, or you can email me at cheryl@teaching2and3year-olds.com and I can answer you there as well. So again, this week is our last week before we break for Christmas, and we have some just fun art activities taking place. We've already done all of our parent gifts and ornaments and all of that. That's already been taken care of because we're going to wrap them this week. And then we have, on our last day, our Christmas carols and cookies. Actually, I think that's Christmas cookies and carols. That is the last 15 minutes of our morning on our last day. And it's just super simple with our 2-year-olds, where the parents come in or any other special guest, and we sit down and we sing some favorite Christmas carols. There's no pressure, there's no performance. The children are singing along with their families. Then we have some cookies, and then we pass out their gift bags, which I'm going to show you in this video in a moment. Their families open up their gifts so they can see what's inside. Super simple, very simple. Our 3-year-olds and our older children do more of a performance that is actually in our building's fellowship hall, where they are on a stage and they sing some songs. So they do a little bit more, but for our 2-year-olds, we keep it very simple, and there's a very good reason for that. It's what works best for them. So I wanted to say that because there's been a lot of questions in my Facebook group saying, what do you do for a Christmas program? So that's what we do. So now let me take you on a tour through our classroom and show you what things we've kept and what things we've changed. So this week in our block area, we did change things out. Last week we had the train, and this week we have our different community helper vehicles, and then we have different shops and different buildings that you would find in your community. And then the children also made their own little Christmas trees out of cardboard that we also displayed in the town as well. And then our writing table will have a couple of things going on. We will continue to have our mailbox where the children can decorate little cards with crayons and stamps and stickers and pretend that they're mailing a letter to Santa or to a special friend. Another fine motor activity that we have, and this is a printable that is by Tot Schooling, and I will put a link in the description. They're going to use do-a-dots and just press down the do-a-dot on each circle. And then in our Simple 3 water table, we will be fishing out these Jingle Bell balls, and they will be using strainers and bug tongs to retrieve them from water. So I'm going to fill both ends of those wells with peppermint smelling water. Now I love using it this time of year. Kids love the smell of peppermint, so I use some peppermint dish soap and I squeeze it into the water so it has a little bit of a scent to it. And then the children can then use their fine motor skills to get those balls out of the water and put them into the matching colored cups. These are the same Jingle Bells that I mentioned last week that the children had fun using, dropping them down the tubes and watching them roll across the floor. So we're going to use this again because I like to make use of what we have as much as I can, but now they're going to be used with water. Our dramatic play area is the same as last week. The children have had a lot of fun pretending to make hot cocoa, and then we have different Christmas wooden cookies that they have been placing on trays and pretending to have a little Christmas party. And then we have some elf hats and Santa hats and some Christmas scarves that they can wear as well. Last week on our light table, we had our jumbo Jingle Bells and our magnetic wands. And the children had a lot of fun picking up the bells with the wands and shaking them so they can hear the jingling. This week, I have replaced that with some plastic blocks that we have. I put out just the green, the red, and the clear so the children can have fun building with those Christmas colors. And then I also have some Discovery bottles that we had made a while back that have, there's a green, a gold, and red bottle with some glitter inside. And on our easel, we will be taking red paint and we will be stamping that onto candy cane shaped paper. So as I mentioned earlier, the last 2 weeks we made our gifts for our parents. They did an ornament, 2 ornaments actually. They did a photo ornament and they also did gold stars. I'll drop a link to a similar keepsake ornament that we made so you can see how we did it. And then we did a process art activity making these bags. So the children took Jingle Bells and they placed the white craft bag into a box, and then they put some Jingle Bells on top that had paint on them, and they shook them back and forth so that it left this fun trail on the sack. And then when they dried, this is a free printable I have, and each child got the ornament that had the first letter of their name. And then so this week, after we wrap the gifts in some tissue paper, they're going to then place them in the bag and we're going to tie them up so they can give them to their families at the Christmas program that we will have on our last day before break, which is this week. And I just wanted to show you that, you know what, sometimes things that we do don't turn out, and this is an example. When I first had him do this, I tried using watercolor palettes, and it was muddy and you couldn't even hardly see the letter under it. So I abandoned that activity because, see, no matter how long you're teaching, this happens. We then I'm going to do it this week, and they're going to be using dots. I did a couple just so you can kind of get an idea, but we haven't done that yet. That's going to be when we come back after this weekend, and then we'll wrap them all up. Another art activity that we're going to be doing is we're going to be mixing red paint with shaving cream. We're going to use a craft stick to stir it all around, and then they're going to take a candy cane piece of paper and press it on top of the shaving cream that has been tinted red to create a print on the candy cane. Another fun activity that we might try this week, it all depends on how much time we have, is we are going to be painting with these pine branches. So we'll be dipping them into paint and then painting onto paper. Sometimes it's fun to paint with things other than just paintbrushes sometimes, and I thought this will be a fun way to tie it in with Christmas. Last week in our sensory bin, we had our stars and our yellow rice. This week I've changed it out so that it's a candy cane sensory table. I dyed the rice. We have some shades of red and pink and white. And then I added different candy canes in there. And then I also added, of course, some scoops like I always do, some pom-poms, which we love. I also decided to add some small stocking because I think they might have fun filling the stockings with the pom-poms and the candy canes. And this is just another fun way of adding some texture and fine motor in the activity. And then one of our table activities will continue to be this ornament printable. I'll put a link in the description. I shared this one last week, and basically they are just matching the cards. I've made 2 copies. One I've kept intact, the other one I've cut apart. So then they're just matching the cards, and they're just placing it right on top. And for older children, you just can make 1 copy, and they can use this to count and recognize each number. Another activity that we will do again this week that I mentioned last week is counting the dots on the Christmas tree. And then they will simply put the pom-poms on top of the circles. This is a great way for them, one-to-one correspondence. As they put 1 pom-pom on 1 circle, it's also great for counting and also for number recognition, and this activity goes up to the number 6, and you can find the link to this printable in the description. And I'm adding a new activity this week that used the stars that we had last week in our sensory bin. So I took 10 of those stars out because you know that I love to be resourceful, and I painted them with some sparkly yellow watercolors and then wrote 1 to 10 on each one. And then we had some star cutout paper, and I also did 1 to 10 on those. So you could simply do the activity just with the wood stars, where you put them in a bowl, and then the children have to put them in order from 1 to 10. For younger children, you can just do 1 to 3 or 1 to 4, 1 to 5, however far they can go. And then in addition, if you want to, is then you can take star paper and you can write the numbers on those, and then they can take the wooden star, match it to the paper star, just like that. So that's something fun that we're going to be doing this week. And then another activity that we're keeping out again, this might be our 2nd or even 3rd week using this Melissa and Doug Christmas puzzle, because our younger children especially have really enjoyed taking the pieces from the bowl and finding where they go on the puzzle. And if a teacher is there close by, she might ask, where does the snowman go? Or what is this here? You know, kind of get some dialogue happening as well. And then for Play-Doh, we have green colored Play-Doh. And then I have some of the silicone little cups. They love to put the Play-Doh in those. And then we also have some tree cookie cutters, as well as some other cookie cutters, rolling pins, and little pizza cutters. And then at our science and exploration table, we have the what do you spy in this bin activity, kind of going off the I Spy a Candy Cane book, and they're going to let us know what they spy as they look into the bin, pull it out and put it on the tray, and then they're going to see if they can find it in the book. This would also be a great circle time activity or a small group activity. So that's how we have our classroom set up for our second week, our last week of our Christmas theme. And by the way, aren't those stars and the moons, and the lights twinkling in the windows, aren't those so pretty? Our director got those for us, and the children have just loved them. And our days have been pretty dark and dreary this week, so it almost feels like nighttime. So having those stars flash in the window has been a lot of fun. So again, this is how we have our classroom set up. This will be the last week before we go on to our winter break. I will come back next week and give you some suggestions on what you can do for winter themes, and kind of give you a peek to what we will be doing when we come back from winter break. So make sure that you have subscribed to this YouTube channel, because then you will get notification. You get to press that bell icon at the top, and as soon as I publish that video, you will see what we'll be doing for winter. And I will also be writing a blog post that gives some suggestions on circle time and center activities, large motor, all of that. That will be coming up. I'll be publishing that during winter break so that you will have it before you return to your classroom, if you get a break. I realize not all of you do. So thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon.